Hey everybody, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome to a live stream on TradeHog. And today's episode, I'm going to go over TradeHog because we are getting an awful lot of emails, and that's usually what sparks me to do live events for things like TradeHog. Most of you know me for my exam prep or in our electrical stuff over on Fast Track System or Fast Tracks Tube, which is our video platform. But we're getting an awful lot of interest in our TradeHog, and people asking, are we going to be doing trade shows and doing demonstrations and things like that with TradeHog, and how you can actually use it in the field? And the answer to that is yes. So we're trying to schedule where we're going to be and things that we're going to be doing when it comes to promoting TradeHog. But what we wanted to do today is just kind of give you a rundown of TradeHog, show you how you might use it. Also kind of give you some insight that just came out from some data that came out from Adobe when it comes to artificial intelligence and how people are using it and how people are getting better results rather than using something like Google and doing just a plain old Google search, and how it's changing the industry. And I'm more focused on how it's changing the construction industry and how people are concerned about whether or not it's going to take jobs, or it's going to take tradesmen's positions, or cause us any type of issues. And we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit today. But before I even do that, I want to go on and introduce you to the Hog and let you see what the website looks like. I'm sure you probably looked at it before. And it's a pretty simple format on how we do the website. But and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So first of all, before we even look at the Hog, a brief history of why we came up with it. So I, as you know, being an electrical code guy, I'm constantly inundated with questions, code related questions that people will call me or send me something while they're out in the field. And I thought, what if we had the leverage of artificial intelligence, but we could train the model so that it brings back relevant results that are very code specific. In other words, it will learn, you can add things to it, and you can have a conversation with it, but we really want it to bring back code specific relevant things. So that's where I got together with some people that helped me develop the software. And then, of course, we got together with OpenAI in order to help it create our base model. Then that's when we learned that we could actually take a foundation of the generic scripting of the artificial intelligence through OpenAI. And then we learned that we could build on that and that we could add additional stuff to that. And once we realized we could do that, then we started training it with other components. We started adding modules in there, some manuals from manufacturers, and we started building on that, and it started working out, and it started bringing back really relevant results. And of course, we're constantly working on it all the time, physically feeding things into the database so that it brings back very relevant results. Now, it doesn't have to be for the electrical trade. What we're seeing is that, and with recent subscriptions, we're seeing builders, we're seeing plumbers, we're seeing HVAC contractors joining the program. And when we released the light version, we saw a lot more because people want to just dip their toe in it a little bit, because you can demo it on our website, and we're going to show you a brief demo. But you are limited to the number of searches that you can do, or the interactions that you can do. We like to call it interaction. So again, if you want to unlock that, you have to get a subscription. But I just wanted to show you, that's what started the process. And then later on, I said, well, can we take this model and add to it and say, as a contractor for years, and I do it now, I was sitting there going, look, when it's tax time or I have marketing questions or I have an HR question or something like that, I didn't want to go to the generic chat GPT because it's not focused around the trade. And it would bring back me results that I, weren't really friendly for my phone, or I'm always on the go. So we said, okay, we're going to have to train this thing in order to bring back as tight of relevant responses as possible so that you don't have to scroll forever out in the field if you're going to use your phone to do that. And then what we ultimately came up with also for the premium members, we also came up with the ability to have we have our mobile app. So once we were able to come up with that, then we were able to have our mobile app that allows it to be able to make it a little easier to work on your phone. So you just simply click that right there, and it opens up and gives you a bunch of offerings here, whether it's the Ask Paul, whether it's getting the videos. But when we did this, one of the things we said, well, what about the back end person? What about the person that needs to write the marketing copy or letters to customers or responses that are very professional or things like that? And not everybody's a good writer. So one of the things is we ended up adding an element called Office Hog. Now, Office Hog is just an extension of Trade Hog. And all it is it's a model that's been geared towards bringing back construction related technical. It looks at legalese. It's good for tax stuff, but it's kind of like putting it in this blinder that it's only focusing on that information. So it's for your back end. It's for your office type of stuff. It's not the same as if using the Trade Hog, but we wanted to incorporate that in. So a lot of our plans, like the basic and the premium plan, have access to the Office Hog as well, but the Lite program does not. Okay, it's just for use in the field in order to ask technical questions. Okay, well, that's kind of the background of why we created the one, and we wanted to get involved in it because I feel like there should not be a reason for you to be in a field and struggle with a question on something, whether it's a basic question or even a technically detailed question. I wanted to have something that at least brings back some technical responses and code references as well. Okay, so let's kind of go look at it real quick. So here's the hog. This is what you'll see if you go to the website, and this is basically just tradehog.net. And it works on any browser. It doesn't matter what browser you use. You may be a Chrome or you like one of the other type of, I like chromatic type of browsers like Edge and Firefox and Chrome. My favorite's obviously Chrome. But it works on any browser that you want. And basically, the first thing you do when you get here is if you're on a desktop, you'll see the navigation across the top. If you're on a mobile device, you'll see the little hamburger settings here. And basically, you click it there and you'll see it'll drop down. And you'll see where you log in. You'll see a forum. If you're a premium member, you'll see the pricing. You'll see contact information to reach out to us. And you'll see the personal hog, which is the Office Hog. And then, of course, you have the Chief Hog. Okay. So that's your drop down that you'll see. And you may see navigations across the top if you're on the desktop or whatnot. So if you come down and scroll down, you'll actually see the area right here. This is where you're going to type your question right here. Now, whether you cut and paste the question, whether or not you're just tapping it out in your phone or on your desktop, whatever, this is where your question goes right here. Okay. Now, we have some examples here that are already here for you to kind of test it out if you're interested in testing it out. You are going to be limited, okay, to the number of times you can use the demo model per hour. All right, so it does allow you, though, like a demo, to go in and do some tests, and we're going to show you what happens. So I've already used one of my requests. So let's just go on. Let's say, so for example, if one of your questions were, does every sub-panel require a separate ground rod? Right? Well, we just happen to have this one propagated for you already. You can click on it, puts it down here, but you can type your own question, whatever you may have. But we're going to show you the detail that we have on this. So it could be in the field and you're running into something and you're not sure about the spacing of a receptacle, or you're not sure about a circuit for something, then you can just type your question. And we do encourage you to type it, just naturally ask the question, because that just kind of helps the model. Now, no slang. And remember the old saying, crap in, crap out. So you need to be detailed if you want to know what code cycle that it's specific to. If you don't care, it's always going to try to go to the latest model, which is a 2023. Now, this is also the same for you, the building guys and the plumbing guys. Whether you're IPC code or UPC, it's always going to go to the latest published edition. But if you need an earlier one, then you need to ask for it, for the earlier edition. And again, it's a learning model, so you can ask follow-up questions, okay? So anyway, we had this one right here, and you might have seen me demonstrate this one before, but it's pretty simple. Does every subpanel require a separate ground rod? Now, you and I both know the answer to that. If you're in the electrical industry, you only require, first of all, remote distribution panels, like a subpanel, remote distribution in detached structures, for example, garages, you have to establish a grounding electrode system. Now, do they have to be rods? No. Could be concrete encased electrode, could be it could be a ground ring, it could be rods, pipe, or plate, could be a bunch of different things, right? But the specific question we're asking is, does every subpanel require a separate ground log? So the ground rod. So the key thing here is that the model, the AI model, is keying in on the fact you're asking about ground rods, and it's very specific to it. So if I click send, and you'll see the model do its thinking, and you can see that by the little bouncing balls, right? And so here you see it gives you an answer, and it tries to be as concise as possible, right? If you have a question you want me to ask it in the chat, type it in the chat. I'm more than happy to feed the hog and see what it comes out at. Now, is it always perfect? No, sometimes you have to ask a follow-up question because it's trying to think what you're trying to do and how you're trying to present it. And it's not designed to take the place of your knowledge as a professional tradesperson. It's you already have a certain level of knowledge in the field. You just sometimes need a bump. I don't know if I had $1 for every time somebody contacted me for technical support and asking me a code question, and I give them the answer and they go, "That's what I thought. I just wanted somebody else's opinion." So I look at the Trade Hog, and when I got into it, and we started really working on the model, and Jeff works a lot on the model. Jeff works for me. We got to thinking, we don't want to turn this thing into a chat GPT, which is just very open. In fact, on other videos that I've done, I've shown you how chat GPT gives the wrong answer, and ours gives the right answer, because essentially we're built on the same type of model, and the chat GPT costs you $20 a month. We're built on the same type of model. The only difference is we fine-tune this model, and we're focusing on it to be more trade specific, whether you're plumbing, mechanical, that type of thing, okay? So this is one of those things that you're like, okay, I build into it, ask it certain types of questions, and it will learn as it goes. But again, there's going to be situations where you might say to yourself, well, I need to add additional follow-ups to get it, because you're in the trade. This is not designed for, let me get this clear to everybody. It is not designed for the layman. It is not designed for the DIYer. It's not designed, this is for professional trade people. So it means you might have to follow up with something, okay? So that's an important aspect of it. So it maybe you're going to use this to just confirm something you already know, that type of thing. So here's an example right here. It says, no, not every subpanel requires a separate ground rod. In accordance to the NEC, a subpanel in the same building or structure as the main service panel does not require a separate ground rod. Instead, it should be connected to the equipment ground conductor that is run with the feeder to the main panel. So this is all connected together inside of the same structure, okay? So it doesn't go out to the remote distribution panel. It's back at the main panel, that type of thing. But it also goes in and talks about detached structures as well. So here's the detached building or structure. You have to establish a grounding electrode system. It gives you the code references as well. So it's talking about electrodes have to be established. Now, You may choose to use rods, but you could use pipe, you could use plate, you could be round ring, you could use any number of different electrodes in 250.52 A1 through A8. There's different options that you can use, right? So this is just covering that. But the key component here is it reminds you it's important to note that the neutral and ground should not be bonded at the sub panel. Okay. So again, that is an important aspect to remind you that they should not be done. Okay. Now, there are some allowances, some exceptions when you have an existing building that was installed prior to like 1995 and that type of thing. Okay. So all that type of stuff. So keep that in mind. Okay. So now, if you're a person that's going to go out there and looking to fool an artificial intelligence, then the answer is yes, you're going to be able to fool it because it is never going to be smarter. I don't care what they say. It is never going to be smarter than knowledge that you already have. If you already know the answer to a question and you're trying to trick an AI model, it's probably how you're asking the question. And one of the things that AI models are not designed to do is come back with their own personal opinion, because we try to tune that out. It's not to give an opinion. It's not trying to give its thoughts on it. It's trying to bring back pure code. And that's what it's trying to bring back, that type of scenario. Okay. All right. So if it's not founded in a code, if it's not founded in a standard, then the trade hog is not going to be beneficial to you. If you just want to ask it random questions that are not specific to a code or a standard, and you're just asking like wild out there Willy Wonka type questions, then the model's probably not going to be beneficial for those folks. And I would encourage you not to invest in it. That's not what the model is for. Okay. Since we have a question in the chat here, and it looks like this is a question that's trying to trick the AI, but we'll give it a shot. Does the NEC address panels that are fed from multiple sources? Okay, so let's see here if I can copy the comment, and we'll go on and put it in here. And put that in here. Let's see here. And we'll just bring it back to this, and we'll do a search for it. Now, we do have applications in panels that have like a Kirk key scenario where you have power, two sources coming in. So a lot of times we have systems where you have a separator that has multiple sources coming into a panel. A lot of panels that we have that are fed, and again, we're not going to turn this into an electrical class. This is about trade hog. So again, that is for our that's for our morning coffee hours type of code questions. But at the end of the day, we have situations where there's a Kirk key where you could have power coming in from multiple sources. You also have applications where you have multiple sources coming in into transfer switches where you have two coming in, that type of thing. So there are scenarios where you may have multiple sources coming in. But here it goes, yes, the NEC addresses panels that are fed from multiple sources. According to 408.36, panels must be protected by an overcurrent protected device having rating not greater than that of the panel board. When panel board is supplied by more than one source, such as a utility service and a standby generator, right? That would be an example of two sources. It says NEC 705.20 provides additional requirements for interconnecting power production sources. It says this includes ensuring that the interconnection does not exceed the panel's rating and the proper disconnect means are provided. Furthermore, 408.3F requires that panel boards supplied by more than one source must have a warning label indicating their presence of multiple power sources. This label must be located at the panel board and clearly visible. These requirements ensure safe and proper operation when dealing with multiple power sources feeding a single panel board. Always refer to the NEC, okay? And so that's your answer. So the NEC does have multiple applications. Now, and many times, if this is not something that's answering your question or you want a different question, remember that, for example, AI is just pulling back code references. It's just pulling from the NEC. It's not designed and will never be designed to give an opinion or to give a commentary. It's not designed. In fact, you could do that because we could change the model and open it up a little bit. And then what it does is it will pull other resources to kind of give its own opinion, but we are not allowing that in TradeHog. We have shut that down. We have squashed it to try to only bring back code relevant and not give any advice, if you will, on how you install it. That is also one big difference between a Chat GPT or other free type of AI models, is that it tries to come back and give you advice based on information from the internet. And one of the problems with that is not everything that you have seen on the internet is true, and not everything is accurate. So that's one of the problems with using Google or using a free type of generic AI model, is that it's going to bring back, where do you think this info comes from? So this info comes from the internet. And anybody that's been following me for any amount of time knows that I am big on debunking things that are on the internet or debunking things that are on social media. And the problem is, the last thing that we would want in our model, and this is a great question, by the way, because again, the gentleman, I can't remember, Pyrex, great question, because this is just giving you the top level of interconnected systems. And we can have it. In fact, a lot of systems for reliability have multiple sources coming into even to the switchgear, and it has a key mechanism that keeps the two from interacting, but they're both in the system. And of course, the everyday application would be like when we have a transfer and you have two different sources coming to a panel board. Okay, so that's just an example ours gave. But yes, the code does have different rules that deal with that. But important thing is, now, if there was anything that I wanted to, there's anything that I wanted to ask deeper, then it could go deeper. Like let's say here, I want to say, now I do want to show you this because this was this sample one real quick. So you see down here where it says 3 requests users, that means we have different people using it, the free version. You see where it says 2 requests of the current user? So I can ask one more question and let's see what happens. So I'm going to elaborate on this. And this is what we tell people to do. Let's see. What about in a switchgear where we have multiple utilities for reliability? I'm just snowballing a question out there and just seeing what it would come up with. Now, I should have one more on this free check. So hopefully it comes up. I should have one more that allows me. All right, there's the 3. So it allowed me. So what did it say? Okay, here you go. So it says, in switchgear installations where multiple utility sources are used for reliability, the NEC provides specific guidelines to ensure safe and reliable operation. According to the 2023 NEC, I do like, and Jeff has made sure that it's always pulling the latest edition. Okay, it wasn't always like that. The first time we did this, it wasn't like that. It was pulling, and it wasn't really focused on the latest edition. But we've since kind of funneled it to focus on the latest edition. It says in Article 705.12, which covers the interconnection of power production sources, there are requirements for systems that are connected to more than one source of power. This includes ensuring that the interconnection does not exceed the switchgear's rating and that proper disconnecting means are provided. Additionally, 408.3F requires that the switchgear supplied by more than one source must have a warning label. Okay. The label must be located at the switchgear, yada, yada, yada. It says for services with multiple utility sources, it is also important to consider 230.2, which is talking about the multiple sources that come into a building. And you can have, typically a building gets one utility, right? One service. But depending on the size of that service, the capacity necessary, you could have more than one coming in. And there's also situations for, again, reliability. Maybe it's a COPS system or something like that needs to have multiple services. And typically, obviously, they would come into equipment, but there would be a mechanism in place. So while one's running, the other one's not. So they're kind of like a backup type of thing. But anyway, 230.2, which addresses the number of services allowed and the conditions under which multiple services can be installed. This section ensures that the installation complies with the requirements for service entrance conductors and equipment. Overall, when dealing with switchgear led by multiple utility, it is crucial to ensure compliance with the NEC. So what it did was that it gave us some extra information, but again, it's not going to tell us how to do it because that's something that we had to really work on because of liability. And so we can't replace how electrician, and one of the other reasons for this is that we do not want a DIYer trying to use this to come up with a method to do an install. And we have to walk that fine line. So what we want to do is make sure we give you enough information, and you can dig deeper. You can ask follow-up questions. I am going to show you what happens when I ask a follow-up question now. But the more you want to get into it, the more you can ask and you can parse it down. If you have a little knowledge, that's why I said this is not for the DIYer. This is not for the guy that wants to go out and do an installation and knows nothing about codes or standards or the industry. This product was specifically designed for the experienced tradesman because you have this knowledge, you have this trade experience, whether you're a plumber, mechanical, building, roofer, even home inspector. You have this extra knowledge that you can feed into the model, and the model will be able to get smarter and smarter as you're doing it and understand what you're trying to get at, okay? So I could add a question right here just so you see what happens in this demo and go, can you elaborate on the, let's see here, multiple, I'm just going to show you what happens, multiple services to a building. Okay. Now, if I was adding it, elaborating, I do that now, but let's see what happens when I click send. Okay, so what you're going to get down here is you've reached your limit, okay? So that is the demo. So it's going to limit you the amount of discussions you can have. Now, I can go back up here and reset this, and you can't really see it. There you see. You see where it says new chat? I click that, it will freshen it out, all right? But it's not going to change my session because my session on this demo, okay, hasn't changed, okay? So just because I hit a new chat, it hasn't changed. I'm still limited, okay? So I really can't ask anymore, so it won't allow me to type anything else. I'm done, okay? All right, now, I'm going to log in so that we can go a little further. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, I click here, you see that it lets me type, and now you see that you're going to have a certain number of requests that you can make per hour, okay? That type of thing. So that's what you kind of do. What do we got? Pi, what do we got? Pi. I guess she's a user. Trade has been helpful to me so far. I cross-referenced with NP link. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yeah, some people do that, and is the fact that if you have link on your phone, then because one of the good things I could tell you, one of the great things about it is sometimes we may get some type of terminology, or we may get something in a code or standard that we're using, and we just don't, it doesn't make sense to us, right? So let me show you, I guess give you an example of that. So let me see if I can go over here real quick. Let me see if I can type in here ICC, let's see, ICC, let's see, public access. Okay, let me see real quick here if I can give you an example. Let's go to the latest iCodes. Okay, let's go, 2024 is fine. All right, so we got this residential code right here. All right, some of you probably are familiar with the fact that you do have access to even the iCodes, and so there is no excuse. You should know you have access to all these, okay? But let's just go, for example, where I might go to, let's just go down to, let's go down to here. So let's go into materials. All right, so you see this information here on the right, and I might want to say, okay, something down here. See this one right here, R402.1.1 fasteners. And I'm just going to say R402.1.1. So I'm going to go back to the hog. I'm going to say, can you explain, see, R404.2.1.1. Is that what it was? Oh, 402.2.1.1 of the IRC. Okay, I'm just going to do that. Let's make sure this is the IRC. Yes, this is International Regimen Code, and it is a 2024. So I'm going to make it clear. I'm going to go 2024 IRC. So if I, not just electrical, but I want to see, so I'll go here and I'll click it. Okay. So this says is latest update is not available. So this is the latest release, and it means we have not fed it in our model. Okay, so I'll say, okay, use the latest edition. And we will be feeding the model, but it is not up long enough for us to feed the model. All right. So here it says 404.2.1.1. And let's see here. Okay. So here is where it's, so it's going to limit our access to it because this is let me go over here. This is under foundations, and this is the latest edition that is published. And again, this is the read-only view. So we're not pulling in this data into the module, okay, for the hog, right? But watch what I'm going to try to keep tricking the hog and say it is about fasteners. So can you elaborate? Say, I'm always trying to fool the hog, okay? So let's go here. All right. And again, here it says, I apologize for the confusion earlier. Okay. It's, I can't believe I just did that. There we go. Sorry about that. It says, okay, this addresses fasteners used in construction of concrete and masonry foundation walls. This section specifies the requirements for the type, size, and installation of fasteners to ensure structural integrity and compliance with the building standards. For the most accurate, up-to-date information, please refer to the latest edition of IRC and that type of thing. So it's not to take your replace of your code book because there's public versions available of all of these if you know where to find them, okay? If you know where to look for them, right? But again, let's show you what we mean by this. So I'm going to take you back here really quickly, and it's talking about fasteners. Let's talk about, I know this is the latest edition, so I don't know how long it's been out, but I want to go down to electrical here. And let's go down to branch circuits. All right, let's see here. Okay, so I'm in one of these type of things. Let's see here. So this is 301. So for some of you may not be familiar with this because you use the NEC all the time, but this is the IRC. And a lot of inspectors use the IRC when they're doing single family dwellings. I like to train them to use the NEC and because this is basically pretty much mirrors the NEC. But you get some stuff here. So here you see E3701.2.1 continuous load. It says where the branch circuit feeders supplies, yada, 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 yada. So what I might say, if you were somebody and you're digging into this and you're a co-professional and you're looking at it and goes, well, I don't understand what continuous load is. So you might go over here and you might, what does the IRC, and I'm going to use the IRC, mean when it says continuous load? All right. And again, grammar being what it is. All right. So I'm just asking it questions that, again, not really code specific because I'm trying to break it. What I'm doing is I'm trying to ask questions that are, even though this is a defined term in the NEC, I'm using the obscure code of an IRC in it here. So, all right. So here it's trying to look at it when it comes to the IRC. It's trying to look for it when it talks about continuous load, refers to loading on the building, structural loading and design loading. That is not what we're looking for. So see, I'm asking that, and I'm sitting there going, oh, wait a minute. I'm an electrician. And it doesn't know what it's talking about because I sent it to the IRC. So I'm going to go, wait, watch. I'm going to say, wait. I wasn't talking about building loads. I was talking about electrical loads that are continuous, right? So we'll wait and say this and see what the hog comes back with. Okay, so it says in the context of the International Residential Code and the National Electrical Code, a continuous load is defined as a load where the maximum current is expected to continue for 3 hours or more. And it talks about Article 100 and it gives you some, and it goes down here and it gives you some examples and whatnot. The point that I wanted to show you here was that, remember that saying that I said about an AI model and how we tune it, crap in, crap out? If you're asking such a generically broad question and you want it to bring up specific answers, then this is why it's not for the DIY. This is not why it's not for somebody that's not with knowledge in the trade. We did not create TradeHog to be something that just anybody can go to. They can do that on ChatGTP or something like that. We wanted something that you actually, and I made no mention of the NEC, okay, in my question. But the moment that I keyed it on the electrical, then it kind of pulled back and started giving us more information on that, and even gave us an example of that. So at the end of the day, that's what we're going for. We're trying very hard to not let it bring back such a generic response, that type of scenario. Okay, now. Always, I always recommend, clear your chat. And start, you see I made 5 requests of my 50. Okay. So this is the premium plan, and which is, by the way, 50 requests per hour is way more unless you get into some real deep discussion with the TradeHog. And you might need to get in. I mean, it took me 5 to get where I wanted, so I wanted to ask the hog something, right? And that type of thing. Okay, so like, for example, I might say, let's see here. Let's try to break the hog on this here. It says, I have a metal water pipe grounding electrode at my house. And it is 8 feet in contact with the earth. Can I use it as a grounding electrode for my electrical system? All right, just to see. So we're just asking it the question, and I will let it go. All right. So here it brought up and it said, according to the 2023 NEC, a metal underground water piping can be used as a ground electrode if it meets the criteria, and it gives a code reference. It's important. We want to try to give code references. It says a metal underground water pipe in direct contact with the earth for at least 10 feet can be used for grounding electrodes. Since your metal water piping is only 8 feet in contact with the earth, it does not meet the minimum requirements of 10 feet. Therefore, it cannot be used as a grounding electrode by itself. Okay, so it goes on and gives you a different, and it also tries to look at the code, and it'll bring in the fact that obviously water pipe grounds have to be supplemented, and it'll go on and try to give you that, something about supplemental, and it'll talk about other types of electrodes and try to give you some guidance, code specific guidance. Okay, so this is why it's going to give you code references. But that's just an example of a random question. Okay, so that type of thing. Let's see here. Pi, do you have another question you want us to type in? Anything you want, it's fine. Yeah, that's I can guarantee you that's probably true. Well, help bridge it. Yeah, and so one of the things is it can try to help bridge that gap. So let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. What is the name of the conductor used to help clear an overcurrent? Okay, let's just choose what they would say. Clear a breaker. They might say something as simple as that, right? They may go, hey, what's the name of that conductor that's used to clear a breaker? Okay. And how does it work? Let's do that. So that might be just a generic question that they're going to ask, and they're trying to learn, and they want to see what it is in the code. So we'll hit it, send it, see. Now, very much like ChatGPT, the only difference is in ChatGPT, you're going to pay 20 bucks a month. You're going to get a non-specific type of response to your trade. You can still ask the hog other things, but it's going to be looking for trade-specific stuff. But that's when we introduce the Office Hog, and it is a little different. So I just want to show you how this works. So I'm going to copy this really quick. Okay, I'm going to copy this. All right, and I'm going to show you the Office Hog and how that would answer the same question. So anyway, here you see the conductor used to help clear a breaker during a fault condition is known as the equipment grounding conductor, EGC. Again, gives you the article 100, gives you the reference, and then it talks about the process, okay, during a ground fault, the path, okay, yeah. So it kind of gives you the process in it and explains it. So it can be used as definitely can be used as a learning tool for folks, especially if you're going through the NEC. And that's another thing that people can use this for. There are terminologies in the NEC that you might look at and you're like, I don't know what the heck that means. So plug it into the hog and it might help give you an explanation. You can also ask it, for example, watch this. Watch this. Let's say that this was still technical. I'm going to say, can you explain the above again as if I was a kindergartner? I'm just saying, okay? And I mean, we're just saying, ask it to explain it again. Sure. And it'll go over and try to explain it. Imagine you have a toy train set and the train runs on the track. Sometimes the train might go off the track and cause a little accident. To help fix this quickly, you have a special helper track that guides the train back safely. In your house, electricity is like the train and the wires are like the tracks. Sometimes electricity can go the wrong way, like the train going off the track. The equipment grounding conductor is that little helper track. It helps guide the electricity back safely to where it should go so it doesn't cause an accident like a fire or a shock. This way, everything stays safe and works properly. So you can, do it that way. And I always like to play with it. I go, dude, I am not stupid. Go on and explain it again like if I was Einstein. Okay? Something like that. Okay? Let's see what it says. I always messing with it. So certainly, let's dive into the concept with a bit more technical depth. And it will go into even more depth. It show you how it works, fault occurrence, path of fault current, operation of protected devices, clearing of the fault, all this type of thing. So as you can see, I'm having a conversation with it and I can go as deep as I want. Now I might get in here and say, can you explain item number 3 in more specific detail? Okay, so item number 3 being this one about operating of the protective device, right? So I'm going to ask it to explain number 3 in more detail. All right, so certainly it says, let's explore item 3, operation of protective devices in more detail. So then it'll go into and talk about it. It's high fault current. It'll talk about everything, trip mechanisms, rapid response, safety. So as you can see, the model will learn and you can ask it additional follow-up type questions if there's something that you don't understand, okay? And so I think it's just amazing and it's only getting better. We take things, we encourage you to let us know if you've done a search and you didn't like the results. Do me a favor, cut and paste the results as well as the questions you ask. Make sure you send it in to us because we love to get those type of things so that we can fine tune the model even more. It's a constant process that we want to make it better and better and better. So we're in here for the long haul when it comes to TradeHog. Now, remember that question I asked, right? Right here. So let me just make sure I copy this question right here. Make sure I copy this question again. All right, so now I want to go into, clear this out. I'm going to go up into Office Hog, which is a totally different thing, okay? So Office Hog, here you see the hog is sitting at the computer. So this is where I would ask, when are federal taxes due? This is where I'd ask, what's the difference between Chapter C and Chapter D? Totally different type of approach, okay? But we're going to ask it the same type of question. I'm going to throw it in here, and I'm going to hit it. I just want to show you that here you see that it's going to give you a different style of approach. And this one is going to be less codesy because the Office Hog is looking at things from a different perspective than the Trade Hog. Trade Hog is looking to give code references. It's looking to get you in the standard, whatever one it may be. Whereas the Office Hog is trying to be more a logical, down-to-earth type of approach and how I give you, but you see how it's a different delivery, that type of thing, okay? But you see what it is devoid of. It's really devoid of any code references. Whereas when you do that same question to the Trade Hog, it is trying to bring back some technical stuff that you can go look at. Other references in the code, that type of thing is one of the differences here. But one of the business benefits to this right here is, for example, I might want to ask some questions. Maybe I want to do some marketing and I'm specific to an area. So I might ask it a question like, can you give me some marketing ideas for my electrical contracting business? And I'll type that in right here. And I can say, can you give me some, let's do cheap or free marketing ideas for my electrical contracting business, right? All right, so that's kind of parsing it down a little bit, and we'll do a search on it and see what it says. And again, different than the Trade Hog, this is the Office Hog. And you see its delivery is a lot different. It's certainly, here's some cost-effective marketing, okay? Social media, optimize your website, Google My Business, which you all should have. Networking, you've heard me talk about it. Get used to the other trades, people in your area. If you're an electrical contractor, get to know a plumber. If you're a plumber, get to know an HVAC guy. Work together, create referral programs, email marketing, local partnerships, agents, get in touch with real estate agents, all that kind of community involvement, sponsor event, Little League. Make sure they give you a nice banner. Keep it very consistent and get your message across right away. Don't make it too wordsy because people ain't spending any time on it, that type of thing. Online directories, there's plenty of them like Yelp and all that type of stuff. Home Advisor, just be careful. I wouldn't pay for those type of things. And then, of course, content marketing. Now, you can also use this model to be able to give you other ideas for marketing, okay? And just ask the question on how to do it. The other thing right here, okay, when are my federal income taxes due? Okay, so if I click that, let me do a new chat. When are my federal income taxes due? Okay. As of the current year, the federal income tax deadline for individuals is typically April 15th. However, 18th falls on a weekend or a holiday, then the deadline is the following month. And you can go, well, what if I am a Chapter S Corp? Okay, and you can hit that. It'll pull back. And it says for S corporations, federal income tax return is filed on 11/20/S. The deadline filing for this was March 15th. That is already passed unless you did an extension, that type of thing. And again, it also talks about you can request extensions down here, which are granted. You can get a 6-month extension, moves the deadline to September if that's what you need. So anyway, the point is you can ask other questions in here, okay? I might ask, let's see here. Let's see here. Maybe I want to ask, is there a safe way to fire an employee? We always hate to do that. Fire an employee who I caught stealing, and I want to do it so that I limit my retaliation. risk. Okay, so also remember that if you type something wrong, spelling, typically it will understand what you're still trying to ask anyway, right? So if I do this, I don't know, is there a safe way that I can fire an employee I caught stealing and I want to do it to limit my retaliation risk? I don't know, it's just a question I might ask and feed it. And it's going to give me step by step. So you see where the office hog is designed a little different than the trade hog portion. Okay, but you get both of these in the basic, in the premium. The light version, you don't get the office hog. So terminating employee for theft is a serious matter. Handle with careful. All right, so gather the information. That should be a no-brainer. Review the company's policies to make sure that if you have policies that they're documented. Consult with legal counsel. Always recommend you do that, especially if somebody is stealing. It's a step you should check with somebody. And many times it's just a flat free consultation with an attorney. They'll give you a kind of a 30-minute consultation. That's a pretty easy one to do. Conduct a fair investigation. Again, don't go out targeting somebody. Make sure that you actually do your due diligence. Prepare for the meeting. Communicate clearly and professionally, yada, yada, yada. So provide the final documentation. I had to do this one time. It wasn't for stealing. It was an inspector who was simply not following my directives. And over time, they were just kind of, I'd tell them to do something and they just wouldn't do it. So I started documenting it. Every time they do it, I'd write it down in a ledger. And I just started tracking it. And at the end of the day, once it was done, I went to our city attorney. I said, this is what I got. We got to let this guy go. He says, be careful. We are a right to work state, but they could come back because he has tenure. I'm like, no, this is our policy. This is what the city says. This is theft or this or that, or this, he's not following direct orders, whatever it may be in your policies. Insubordination. Anyway, we were able to use that. And that documentation was critical because without that, it was tit for tat. He say, my say, whatever. And anytime he had a direct order, I'll just tell you, I always made it a point to write down who was there. And as a supervisor, it wasn't beyond me to look at somebody else that was there and say, you heard that, right? And then I'd write their name down in case I need to call them in. And I'd say, you remember, I was there and I told you, because usually the person was insubordinate around other people, that type of thing. So, anyway, so there you go. That's how you use the office hog. It's a bunch of different sample questions here. Again, you still have a bunch of sample questions over here on the right side if you want. Those are just the latest questions that you can use if you want to do some sampling. The other thing that you have here is pricing. Okay, so the pricing that we have for the hog right now is we have the $9.95 per month for the light. We have the basic $19.95, which is probably what most people get. And then you have the premium. The difference between the basic and the premium is you get to 25 inquiries per hour. In the premium, you get 50 inquiries per hour. The light, you get 10 inquiries per hour. Okay. And with the basic, you get the office hog and you get the basically the trade hog. And then with the premium, you get our mobile app as well. So you can have the mobile app and it works on your phone. But remember, it is browser based. But the big difference is the number of searches that you're going to get per hour. So if you're going to have a very detailed conversation, then you're going to need more because it doesn't memorize it. Once you leave it, it starts fresh again. So you have to make sure that you get the account that's going to give you enough inquiries. I think most people find per hour that the basic one is the one that gets you where you need to be. So this is obviously the most popular plan that we have. The other thing you get is you get forums if you're in the premium. It looks a little funky, but it's designed to work on your device. So that's why this looks a little funky. But these are extra forums here where you can post additional questions if you want. Like if you're want to post something in the building forum, you push the building forum. And down here, you're able to put in a question and a topic if it's something more specific. Okay, not used a lot because most of the time you're going to get your answers in Trade Hog or Office Hog anyway. So anyway, they're there if you want them. So this is where all of it typically comes in and takes place, right? All right here. So let's see. Let's see here. Hold on here. I copied that. Let me go back real quick to Office Hog and ask that same question. That question. Let's ask that same question in Office Hog. This one here. And you're going to see that it asks it a little differently. Okay. It tries to see, it gives this format 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how this model is done. Okay. But what you see is that it lacks kind of references, right? So if we go back, now that's not the greatest example of one, but we'll go back to the hog here and ask the same question. And to show you that the only key difference is if I ask a question that's legal, or I ask a question that is office specific, it's going to give me a step-by-step process approach, whereas the Trade Hog is trying to be more. So here's an example, same exact question. So for people say they aren't this different, same exact question, but here in the Trade Hog, you see that it was focusing on code references, okay? And it talks about Article 250 and that type of thing. So and it talks about the NEC. So it is a little bit more detailed for the trade. And so that type of thing. If anybody got any questions, I'm more than happy to ask the hog. If you have something you want me to ask, I'm more than happy to test it out and see what it does. Like I might ask, let's see here. What is the maximum, let's see, what is the maximum distance of a cantilever? I don't know if I'm spelling it right. Cantilever for a 12-foot deck. I don't know. I'm not a contractor. I mean, I'm not a builder. So there you go. So I'm just going to ask it, and I'm going to clean up some of it because I want to be as good as there and see what happens here. I'm just curious. Okay. So here it says determine the maximum allowable cantilever for a deck. It would typically refer to the International Residential Code or the local building codes, as the NEC code does not cover structural requirements for decks. Thank you for reminding me of that. I think we know that. I think Trade Hog's trying to be a smart ass. But anyway, there you go. That's probably something Jeff programmed in there. So according to the 2021 International Residential Code, the maximum allowable cantilever for a deck hoist is typically 1/4 of the actual adjacent joist span. This is outlined in IRC table R507.6, which provides a guidance on deck joist spans and cantilevers based on joist size, spacing, and wood species. For example, if you have a 12-foot span on your deck joist, the maximum cantilever would typically be 3 feet. 12 divided by 4 is 3 feet, assuming the joists are properly sized and spaced according to the IRC. Okay, well, there you go. That gets me started. That gives me a code reference to go to. I am not a builder, so I'm like, hey, that's beneficial using Trade Hog if I'm a builder, that type of thing. Okay. I don't know what you mean by wire ties. That's not. I'm not sure what that means. You talking about tie wraps? Let's see here. So let's see if I paste this in there. Again, are we asking code questions or are we asking theory questions? Because this is a code-specific model. So it's not. I don't know that it's smart enough to think what we know, and that's going to be the hardest part for people using this. Is that it's not designed to answer anything that's not technical, that has a technical code foundation, but we'll give it a shot. So what is the name of the conductor used to help clear a breaker, and how does it work? Okay, so that's a good question. Let's see here. Kind of word it differently, maybe? All right, let's see what it says. I get where you're going. I get you going, and then we'll see the other one real quick. We'll do the other one. Let's see where we're at. Wow, okay. Whatever the hell it was, it pulled back a lot of info. So, okay. All right, it says the conductor used to help clear a breaker during a fault condition is known as an equipment grounding conductor, according to the National Electrical. Oh, okay. All right, given a lot of reference, he explains how it works. Okay. Path of fault current, operation of the overcurrent device. Okay, got it. Installation requirements. Wow, it even got deeper the way you asked this question. It even went deeper than the other way. Okay, that's pretty cool. It ended up going and even given 250 to 122, and it's talking about sizing it based on the overcurrent protected device, bonding, and obviously that does serve a bonding role, so that's great. So that's a lot of info. Okay, all right. So let's see here. What's your other question? Let's see. I love playing with it. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so we're going to say our wire, and you say ties, but that's, again, slang. We want to know what they are. Let's go on and answer with this, wire ties, but I would have answered it with tie wraps allowed in a panel board. So, and again, remember, panel board is actually the guts. So it's actually a load center or electrical panel. Probably panel board is actually what the breakers snap onto. So again, that could throw it because that is slang, and we don't want to use slang. And so anyway, let's see. Let's see what it says. Let's see what the hog. See if it translates it. Oops. All right, let's see here. Okay, it says the use of wire ties and panel board is addressed in the National Electrical Code. In accordance with 312.8, conductors within a panel must be arranged in a manner that allows for proper heat dissipation, does not exceed the fill requirements enclosure. Okay. Key points regarding wire ties and panel boards, arrangement of conductors must be arranged so that the blah, 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 dissipate. Wire ties can be used to organize conductors, but they must not tightly bundle the wire in a way that restricts airflow or heat dissipation. Fill requirements, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's all correct. I mean, we're assuming you're not going to do that. Over bundle. Securing wire. Tie wires can be used in secure conductors. They should not be so tight that they damage the insulation. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Let's see. Manufacturer instructions. Always follow the manufacturer instructions for the panel board, as they may have specific guidelines and restrictions regarding the use of wire ties. In summary, wire ties are allowed in panel boards as long as they are used in a manner that complies with the NEC requirements for conductor arrangement. And let's see here. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna try to trick this. So let's say, since it's basically talking about in a panel, I'm gonna try to trick it here and say, and I'm gonna call them by their real name and see what it says, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna try to trick it and say, but I'm gonna say I love trying to trick it, because Jeff will go crazy. He's not here, obviously, weekend, but he'll watch this and he'll go back and try to change the hog the way its model is, but I'm gonna say can, but what if the tie wraps are not rated? Let's see here, not rated for use in an electrical panel. Okay, so one of the things to remember, for example, with the tie wrap, it does tell us in the code that many places that we can use tie wraps. Okay, it tells us we can do certain things. One of the issues, for example, in a tie wrap is people say, well, if we put it in a panel, then if we're putting it in a panel, then it's plastic. But majority of the very rarely do we get anything on a tie wrap that's listed other than for securing and supporting. And if it's being used as a securing supporting component, then it's being used in compliance with its listing, if it is listed. Okay, so whether I use them in a panel, I don't think I would have any heartburn over it personally. But let's see what the question here said. But I'm just going to keep feeding the hog. Now, that is a reason when you could use up a lot of your hours, right? All right, that's an awful lot of information. Okay, so now the difference here is that I call them, right? I just said tie wraps here. And here's what it's trying to learn on my model, on your question. It says, when using wire ties, also known as tie wraps or cable ties, in an electrical panel, it is crucial to ensure that they are suitable for the environment and application. The National Electrical Code does not specifically address the rating of wire ties, but general principles of safe electrical practice and the NEC requirements for material and equipment apply. Considerations for using tie wires in an electrical panel. Material suitability. Tie wires used in electric panels should be made of material that can withstand the environment condition within the panel, such as temperatures and humidity. They should be non-conductive. Well, that's a no-brainer. And resistive to degradation over time. That makes sense. Temperature rating. Ensure that the wire ties have a temperature rating that meets or exceeds the maximum temperature expected within the panel. So the original question isn't wrong. It's just assuming you're following the manufacturer's instructions and told me that, well, I'd have to go and see what these tie wraps are rated for, that type of thing. Okay. So it says temperature rating and flammability. Tie wraps should be made of material that are flame retardant to reduce the risk of fire in the event of overheating or electrical faults. Compliance with manufacturer's instructions, I guess, is the key thing here. Always follow the panel board manufacturer instructions regarding the use of accessories such as wire ties. Some manufacturers may specify or recommend certain types of wire ties for use in their equipment. NEC general compliance. While the NEC does not specifically mandate ratings on wire ties, 110.3b requires that equipment be installed and used in accordance with the instructions included with the listing and labeling, and implies that any accessory used within an electrical panel should not compromise the safety or functionality of the installation. In summary, while the NEC does not explicitly require wire ties to be rated for use in electrical panels, it is essential to use ties that are appropriate for the application. Consider factors such as material, temperature rating, and flammability. Always ensure compliance to the latest. So that is just good general information on that. But again, nothing specifically in the NEC that's going to limit that. Now, the only one thing that I can closely get to this is putting things in a panel that are flammable and that type of thing. And I don't know. You'd have to check with the manufacturer of the tie wrap. Okay, so let's see here. The tie wraps I am using do not say they are non-flammable. Can I still use them in my electrical panel? Again, trying to have a conversation and see how it learns. A lot of info. Okay, when selecting wire ties used in an electrical panel, it is important to consider the material properties, including flammability. While the NEC does not specifically address the flammability rating, tie wires, general safety provisions, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's where sometimes I can try to trick the hog. So let's see here. If I go to, let me go here. Let me go to, see if I can't go to, I don't have it programmed up for this one. Hold on here. Let's see if I can get NFPA link. Right here. Let me see if I can log in. Real quickly, just to log in. Let's see. Let's go to 2023. Okay, so if we're looking here, and I'm going to go down to here real quick. And let's just see something real quick. I want to go to right here. All right. And let's see here. Let me see here. If I can circuit sources. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, right. Okay, so that's not dealing with panel board. So we have to go to panel board real quick. Let me get us down there right here. Okay, so here we're down at panel board, and I'm just gonna do something real quickly here. something markings. No, then that's. I'm trying to see if I could pull something up here. Let me go back up here in general requirements. Let's see here. Let's see here if I can go into. I was trying to see if there's something I can fool it. I'm trying to see if I can't find something to fool the hog. I'm looking for something specific to see if I can't fool it. Not that I want anybody to go trying to fool it, because that's not the intent, but I like to screw with it. Doesn't make Jeff happy because all this stuff is logged and he goes and looks and he's like, what are you trying to do? But I like to play with it. Now, I can't find what I'm looking for. Let's see here. I'm trying to think, what else can I do? Can I use scraps of wire to bundle my conductors in my electrical panel? This is not a code specific type question, right? Just me asking the hog a question. Let's see. All right, so it says, so it seems like it stopped, right? So if that happened, I'm going to re-ask the question. All right, let's re-ask the question here. Let me do a new one. I didn't like that response. That wasn't my, there we go. I don't know what it's, okay. So it says no, using scraps of wire to bundle conductors and electrical channel is not compliant with the national code. According to 2023 110.3b, electrical equipment must be installed and used in accordance with the instructions included in the listing and labeling. Bundling conductors with scraps of wire would violate the manufacturer instructions and potentially lead to overheating due to the improper spacing and heat dissipation. Additionally, 220 NEC 2023 310.15b3a addresses the adjustment factors. Okay, so this is talking specifically about bundling. Now, when it talks about 110.3b, the thing about it is if you're going to be grouping conductors together, that is not what a piece of spare wire is designed for. It's designed to use as a circuit conductor. So it's not designed. Now, you guys do it all the time. I see it in panels all the time. They take a scrap piece of wire and do it. Most electricians don't say anything, but technically, that is not what that wire is listed for, okay? So, but people do it. Whereas a tie wrap typically is going to be listed and identified for securing and that type of thing. So again, that's what you're doing is securing that type of thing. So it's going that type of thing. Let's see. So we can go. Okay. So what is the wire listed for? Just a dumb question. Let's see what the hog says. In the context of electrical installations, right, it says wiring cables are listed for specific use. It must be installed in accordance with listing label and ensure a safe and compliant operation, yada, yada, yada. Okay, there's the installation types, temperature ratings. And again, it's talking about voltage environment. It's used for specific application. And wires are designed such as service, branch, feeder, grounding are used in a manner consistent with its listing. Okay, so again, that's not a use of it, although you probably all grab it and have done that before. That is not technically, it's really going to be whether or not the AHJ allows you to do that. That type of thing. Okay, so now watch, I'll say my AHJ had no issue with me using a small scrap of THHN to secure secure my conductors in my electrical panel. Okay. Is the AHJ, and again, I don't know if it knows the acronym. I don't know if Jeff is training it for that, but is the AHJ wrong in allowing me to do this? Okay. This is really getting deep in asking a question. And it says the authority having jurisdiction has the final say in interpreting and enforcing the National Electrical Code within their jurisdiction, while the NEC provides guidelines and requirements thereof. The AHJ has discretion to approve or disapprove specific practices based on their judgment and local amendments to the code. That is true. Using a small scrap of teaching to secure conductors in an electrical panel is not explicitly addressed in the NEC. However, again, gets into that 110.3b. And what the actual conductor is really listed to do. It's not listed for securing and supporting. It's not listed for securing conductors. It is a conductor that you use for the wiring, okay, that type of thing. It's not a wire management product, okay, like a tie wrap. Tie wrap would be a wire management product. So again, AHJs should probably, and there are certain areas in the code, for example, where something says acceptable to the AHJ. And again, if the AHJ wants to approve it, okay. But at least this gives you the tools to be able to do some searching and being prepared, that type of thing. Let's see, what's the question here? I don't know if it'll answer this question. I don't know if we've trained it on all the fire models. Let's see here. So let's just see. And the smoke detector. Okay, well, let's see here. We'll go and see if it knows. And I don't know if Jeff has put those things in there, but we'll see. Okay. In the context of the fire alarm system, the National NFPA provides a guideline in NFPA 72. It says there is no specific limit on the number of connections between the main fire control panel and the smoke detector. However, the installation must comply with the manufacturer instructions and the requirements for circuit integrity and supervision. It talks about circuit integrity here, talks about supervision here. Manufacturer instructions, okay. Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this, and this is wrong. I don't know the answer to this. But you know what? You'd have to be 100% sure. If it's just something you've heard or speculation or whatnot, then this is not going to help us. I'd have to go look that up. But here it says that there's no specific limit to number of connection between the fire alarm control panel and a smoke detector. Okay? So it might be something local, maybe something that a jurisdiction says I'm limiting it to this, or an engineer who's designing it may limit it, that type of thing. But here, the hog says there isn't, that type of thing. So I don't know that that's true now. So I could say, well, you had AHJ that didn't allow it, but did he cite you a code reference? And it might be differently in how you're asking this question, because this is asking specifically, is there a limit to the number of connection between the fire alarm control panel and a smoke detector? And this is saying that there isn't. Okay, so what I would look at and say, I don't know. Yeah, they give you no code reference, then the chances are they're talking out of their ass, because here we are given code references. Okay, we're given sections to look at, right? All these sections to go and look at. So there's a high probability. There you go, chapter 12. So it's a high probability that I would say the hog is right. Versus what that might be what he wanted, but that doesn't make him right, that type of thing. Let's say, for example, I could say my inspector demanded a home run for each smoke detector, which is not true, by the way, because as a fire alarm guy, I used to do inspections. They definitely were looped. They weren't always a home run, that type of thing. So anyway, my inspector demanded home run for each smoke detector in the commercial building. I could not find this in the NFPA 72. So I'm just saying here, and let's see what the hog has to say about that. It says NFPA 72 does not specifically require a separate home run, a dedicated circuit for each smoke detector in a commercial building. Instead, NFPA 72 focuses on ensuring that the fire alarm system is installed in a manner that ensures reliability, supervision, and proper operation. Talks about the integrity, that type of thing. And follow the instructions. Voltage drop, local amendment. Maybe he had a local amendment, but he should give it to you. So if your inspector requires a home run for each smoke detector, it may be due to a local amendment or specific design consideration for the building. It's advisable to consult with your local AHJ and understand which one. So basically, long term short, he should give you the code reference that demands that you run a damn home run, because that's a lot of work. If I had to run a smoke alarm, or excuse me, smoke detector in a commercial building, if I had to run home runs for every one of those back, and that's just not how you do it. You have circuits that go out and it loops between smoke detectors in that scenario. So yeah, that'd be a lot. To make me have to run a home run for every smoke detector in a commercial building when you could have literally, I know that I used to do plan review for fire alarm, and there would be no way that just imagine if I had a control panel and I had a building that had 250 smoke detectors in this building, and I had to run home runs back for every single one of them, where would I terminate them all? Because they don't give you that many lugs, that many termination points in a fire alarm control panel. So, and I have seen some buildings that are massive, and there would be so many smoke detectors that I just don't see how it would be plausible. So a small system, maybe. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything in there that would require that. So I would have pushed back, obviously, from that type of thing. But anyway, the good news is that it does cover those type of things. Let's see. What else do I want to ask it? Let's see here. What else do I want to ask? I'm going to ask another question. I'm going to say, what are the vent stack requirements for a toilet in a residential bathroom? Okay. So I'm just gonna ask this question, see what happens for those plumbers out there. I'm trying to cover bases here. We've asked a fire alarm question. We ask a plumbing question. We asked, okay, so if anybody has a mechanical question, we can ask it, but here you go. So for vent stack requirements for a toilet in a residential international plumbing code, okay, so IPC, it says vent connection. Each fixture must say here, give you the references, right? Right, so I'm gonna ask it, and I don't know, let's see here. I don't know if this, hold on here. Let me go back real quick. 2024 codes that they're out. Let's see here. We might not have added these yet. So this is the International Plumbing Code. So I'm going to ask this question. Is this the same in the, I don't know that we've added this model yet. And we do have to manually add for it to go look at this model. But it should go look for always the latest. But I don't know that we're training that model that way. So let's see. International IPC. Okay, let's see here. So IPC. Let's see what it does. And I don't know, like I said, if Jeff has got that in here. Okay, so at my latest update, the 2024 has not been released. It means that we have not fed that into the model. Okay, so that's important because that's just another one that we're going to have to feed in to the model. And I'll make a note for Jeff to feed in to make it pull references for the 20, because we don't have it programmed in to pull for those references yet. So again, it's constantly, and we don't want it to do it automatic because it needs to know when to trigger that. We have all the stuff for the 2021, so we'll make sure we get the 2024 versions in there. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We got a question asked here. It says, what about licensing question? Okay. What building a licensing? Well, that's going to be a tough one because licensing is state specific, and you're asking the model to know what state you're in. It's smart, but it ain't that smart. That's stuff that we have to crap in, crap out. So let's see here. Well, it's not going to know what state you're in. It's not that smart. So it says, what are the licensing questions? What are the licensing requirements for building a mobile office in Mobile, Alabama? Let's try to see. Let's see. Let's get rid of this part because we don't need that. All right, let's just see here. It might be more of the office hog type question, but we'll see what it says. Okay. And to determine the specific licensing requirements for a mobile office in Mobile, Alabama, you would typically need to consider both the state and local regulations. Here are the steps. State licensing. In Alabama, contractors are required to be licensed by the Alabama License Board for general contractors. If the project exceeds $50,000, this includes both residential and commercial projects. Projects under this amount, local licensing requirements may apply. Local licensing, the city of Mobile may have additional licensing requirements for contractors. It's important to check with the mobile permitting department or the or the local building authority to understand specific rules, special licenses, determine the scope of the work. So our question, this kind of gives you some heads up stuff, but it's way too generic of a question. Secondly, I don't know what it means by mobile office. I don't know that I even know what that means when you say mobile office. Are you asking, is it for electrical contractor, building contractor? Is it mean, what are the tax requirements? What are the permitting? I think that is just too hard for... I think it's just too hard for an AI model that's looking at standards to be able to answer because it's really too generic, that type of thing, okay? See, job site is not the same as a mobile office. And are you asking for the codes or the licensing permitting? Then I don't know that I would use the hog for that. I think I'd have to call the local and find out what their type of thing. So I don't know, but let me go here and let's see if we go to the office hog and ask that same type of question. And let's see here. Let's see, what are the license? I think we probably should say, what are the permits in licenses required in see mobile. I don't think this is a mobile job site office in Mobile, Alabama. All right, so we'll ask the office hog. Now, this is great because, it shows you the proper way to get the best results for something like that. And that's what we're going for. So this is going to give you the process, okay? So when building a mobile job site office in Mobile, Alabama, you need to ensure compliance with local, state, and federal. That's a no-brainer. Business license, obtain a business license from the city of Mobile. Okay, so this just kind of gives you the guidance. Call the city of Mobile. Permits, permitting. Zoning, okay, electrical and plumbing permits, okay, office permits, yada yada, okay, state licensing. Let's see here. Okay, so I might want to say, if I'm using this on the job site and I'm like, that's great, I know all these things, but let's say here, do you have any of the contact information for any of these offices? And let's see what it does. Okay. So one of the things it is doing is now this is helpful. It's giving you the phone numbers. Okay. It's giving you links to the permitting, right? It's telling you where to go, where you call for the business licenses. Okay. Giving you the addresses, licensing boards. Okay. Here's the websites. Okay. Alabama, so there's a all bunch of information here. So again, that type of thing. So I probably the best that it's going to do it, but I think that that question this way is probably gave you a little better results here in the Office Hog, because the Office Hog is looking at it more from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 type of approach, right? That's probably the easier approach for it, that type of thing. So that's probably one that would have been great. It's great for the Office Hog, that type of thing. So now if I were to go, let's say back to the Hog and say, let's see, what are the grounding electrode requirements for a job site trailer? All right, and I just do that kind of question. And here it's going to say, for a job site trailer, grounding electrode requirements are governed by the National Electrical Code. No duh. Article 250.32, that's correct. A separate building or structure, each job site trailer supplied by a feeder or brand circuit must have a grounding electrode system. Okay. So we're establishing a grounding electrode system there. Let's see here. Grounding electrode system. Okay, so it's going to tell you the different types, and it's going to give you the code reference for that. Okay, great. Connection to the grounding electrode. Again, it gives you that guidance, and it's going to tell you the table for sizing. Okay. Yeah, that might be the right wording. Modular. Bonding, it's going to talk about bonding, okay, these different electrodes together. Probably just going to have 2 rods. It's probably all you're going to do. Neutral to ground rebonding. The neutral ground must not be rebonded at the ground at the job site trailer. If it is supplied by a feeder, that's a no-brainer. Okay. So there you go. So anyway, kind of gives you all. Now you could dig deeper into any of this. You say, for example, I can say, can you explain 250.32 in more detail? Okay. So maybe you don't understand what 250.32 is. So you ask it. See what she comes up with. By the way, we've done 19 requests. So as you can see, the premium is 50. If we were doing the basic, we can go to 25 and it'll lock us out. But it's still a lot of communication, by the way. Oh, and I should tell you that the Office Hog is different than the Trade Hog. So you'll have the same number for the Office Hog as you do the Trade Hog. So they're not cumulative. They're separate. Okay. All right. So here you go. Certainly. And it goes into detail, grounding electrode system, and it talks you through all of these little pieces, all the way down, sizing, yada, 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 everything through it. And of course, you can deep dive on any one of these that you're unfamiliar with, that type of thing. Like, can you tell me what? Oh, wait a minute. Here you go. I got one. I got a good one. Let's just test the Hog on this one. I got a real good one. Okay. How many ground rods, where used, are required? All right, watch this one. Required, where used, at a temporary pole. Temporary service, we'll call it. Okay. All right, so this one we get a lot, right? People ask, how many ground rods, where used, are required at a temporary service pole? Interesting question, right? So let's see what it says. All right, so here, let's say, for a temporary service pole, the grounding electrical system must comply with the requirements of Article 250. No exception. There's nothing in temporary in 590 for this. it says specifically states that if a single ground rod, pipe, or plate has a resistance to earth of 25 ohms or less, it is sufficient. However, if the resistance exceeds 25 ohms, a second electrode must be installed. Therefore, typically at least one ground rod is required. But if the resistance is not 25 ohms, two ground rods are necessary if you're going to use rods, like we said here. Okay. So anyway, this requirement ensures that the grounding electrode provides adequate protection by, there you go. So there you go. So answered the question accurately, gave you a lot of additional detail, gave code references. That's what's important. Okay. So now I asked the same question just so you can see how this works. Where everybody says it's exactly the same. Now I would expect a similar answer to the office hog, but it should be formatted a little different than this, because here we're trying to give it quick and to the point for you to use it in the field and give you code references so that you can go look this up in your code book. That's the point. But if we go to the office hog, and we're going to ask that same question, okay? And we're going to go here and we're going to paste it. Here's the office hog, and I'm going to hit it. All right, see, this is a numbering format. Okay. So it says the requirements for ground rods as a temporary service pole can vary depending on local codes and regulations, but generally the National Electrical Code provides a standard guideline. According to the NEC, at least one ground rod is required for grounding a temporary pole. However, if the resistance of the ground is not 25 ohms or less, the second rod is typically required. And then it goes into some key things. You know, one talks about that 25 ohms again. Local amendments, installation, it gives you a little more in this. So you might say, isn't this more detailed? No, it does give you a lot more information because we loosen it up a little bit. But the Trade Hog version keeps it short and concise, and it's dedicated to answering your question more specifically rather than giving you a bunch of additional stuff that you already know you have to get an inspection. So the key thing is it's trying to siphon it down a little bit more, right? So here we're at office hog, and I might say, isn't this feature for to be used to answer technical, electrical, let's just use that, questions, right? I'm just asking the hog. Let's see here. Let's see what it says. All right, see what it says? It says, while my primary focus is on construction contracts, business management, and workforce-related legalities, I can certainly provide general guidance on construction-related topics, including electrical work. However, for a highly technical electrical question, it is best to consult with a licensed electrician or electrical engineer. Okay, so rather than have us say it's better for you to ask Trade Hog, okay, we're going to say at this point, if you're asking this question to the office hog, it's assuming that you need to have somebody more technical, because this is for your back end folks. This is designed to ask about documents and things like that. And one of the things you can do is take a document, right, some legalese, and copy it in here. Okay, so I'm just for craps and giggles. Let's go here real quick, and I want legal disclaimer. All right, so let's go legal disclaimer. So I'm just going to look for, let's just see if I can find a legal disclaimer here. Let's see. So this is a car accident. I want to, let's see here. Let's see here. I'm going to copy this real quick. So let's just say I did not know what this was. Maybe you got something and you got a legal document from somebody or something, and you didn't know exactly what it was. See, so you can do, can you describe to me in layman's terms what is a release of liability form or waiver agreement? Okay, maybe there's something you don't understand what it is. And I'm going to type it this way. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to have it tell me and look for it. Okay. So here's what it says. A release of liability form or waiver of liability agreement is a legal document that a person signs, acknowledges that they understand the risks involved in a particular activity or situation, and agree not to hold the other party responsible for any injuries or damages that might occur in similar terms. It's like saying, I know the activity could be risky, and if something goes wrong, I won't blame you or take legal action against you. This form is commonly used in construction and other industries to protect businesses from lawsuits if someone gets hurt or property is damaged during the project or event. Okay, and then I can say, how can I use this in my electrical contracting business? And can you write me a sentence that will reduce my liability? Right? We're just working on it. We're just saying, okay. See what it says. Yeah, I'll explain the attachment model here in a second, because that's not going to give you a whole lot right now. It's just part of one of our future updates, so I don't want to spill the beans on that, but I'll give you an idea what it's worth, what you can use it for now. All right, so it says, in your electrical contracting business, a release of liability form can be used to inform clients and subcontractors about the potential risks associated with electrical work and to limit your liability in certain instances, provided they are not due to negligence and failure to follow safety standards. This form can be particularly useful, blah, 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 blah. So here's a sample sentence you might include in a liability waiver to help reduce your liability. Okay, it says, by signing this waiver, you understand it acknowledges the inherent risks associated with electrical work and agree to release, and you put your business name there, for any liability for injuries or damages arising from these risks, except in cases of gross negligence or willful misconduct. Okay, so that type of thing. Now again, always, it's not giving you legal advice. You should always check a legal professional, but in some situations, this is great for you to be able to add it. So I could simply take that and add that as a disclaimer. And at least it affords you some level of protection that you would not have before, that type of thing. Okay. Now, a question was asked what the button is. Something we recently added right here. So this allows you to add something and have it analyzed. We have not fully introduced this model yet, but I'm going to see if I can't give an example and see if I have one in here. Just to do this here. Let me see if I've got it. Let's see here. I'm just going to do gen ready. Okay, so I attached an image, okay, like a wiring diagram, okay? And in the future, okay, this is not for release yet, so you can use it, but it's not going to yield very much. But you can attach a picture, let's say, of a three-way circuit, two-way circuit, whatever, a diagram, and I can say, please describe what is taking place in the attached image. Okay, now I'm going to click that and it's going to analyze it. Okay, now again, this is a learning model. We're not really releasing it for it to be really used, but it works. So the image that I attached was a picture of an interlock breaker, a panel. It showed the utility power. It showed the interlock kit, but all it did was show pictures of it. And I don't know exactly how to, I don't know exactly how to show that to you guys, what I showed. So I'm not sure, because it won't let me show this image. Let me see here. Oh man, I don't know how I can do this for you guys so you can see what this did with that image. So I asked it to describe an image. This is a powerful feature. I didn't want to release this yet. It's still here. It's not going to work on every image, but it's going to be powerful. And the concept is, and I don't want to leak this out to anybody, the concept is we want it to be able to add schematics and drawings and panel pictures from your panel. Like take a picture of the legend and something you don't understand, it will look it up and it will explain it to you. That is the next generation that we're working with, okay? So, but I do want to show you what that would have been like. So for craps and giggles, if I do this here, bear with me. I'm going to try to see if I can do this. I don't know that I can. Bear with me because I want you to see what I uploaded. And you can see what it pulled this from. Now, give me a second. You did put me on a spot, so I'm going to try to see if I can find it. And see if I can find the image that I used. I'm not sure exactly where I pulled it from. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay, so here's the image. Okay, can y'all see that image? Can you see that image? How the interlock kit works. Okay, so there's utility power, home generation panel. You install the interlock kit on it. You use a power inlet, and then that's how you can plug in the generator. Okay, all right. So see, that's the image that I uploaded. Okay, now this could be a diagram, and this could get some of you excited. I know. You could have a diagram, a picture, or something that you don't understand, a circuit layout you don't understand, and you can ask it to translate it or tell me describe what this picture means. So what is it doing? This is great for you to illustrate a drawing because it looked at it and it took everything from that picture. Remember, here's the picture. It didn't say any of this info on that picture. None of this stuff. But what did it do? It looked at it and it said, first thing is utility. It said electricity is typically supplied from the home from the utility. Number two, it says home generation panel. It says the interlock kit is installed on the home electrical panel. This kit allows the safe switching between utility power and generator power. Number three, interlock kit. The kit ensures that only one power source, utility generator, can be supplied to the home at any one time, preventing backfeeding. Number four, generator power. The utility power is available. The generator can come in. And then, of course, the inlet box, the generator connects to the home electrical system. It got all of that from an image that I attached. That's it. So it doesn't work on everything. Okay, we're not doing it with everything at this point. Okay, but you kind of see how powerful that could be. So if I attached another one, I'll show you. Let's see here. I'm going to throw a dumb picture in here. Okay, it's a dumb picture. Describe this picture. Okay, just going to show you. I'm going to show you that it doesn't work for everything. Although Jeff has been working on this from behind the scenes. So here. So this image shows a person wearing a cap and glasses with a surprised and excited expression. They're wearing a red shirt with a mountain design and have one arm raised. Okay. All right. I want to show you. Okay. I want to show you the picture that I uploaded, and you're gonna see how this could be amazing in the future. Okay. Let me find the picture. Bear with me now. I've got to find this picture. And I will show you the picture that I uploaded. And remember, all it did was pull from the picture. And I just grabbed a simple picture off my computer. So hold on for a second. Let me see. Okay, there we go. All right. So there's the picture. That's the picture that I captured. And it says, guy wearing a cap, wearing glasses, absolutely. Surprised and excited expression. No shit, Sherlock. Wearing a red shirt. It's kind of red. It's like a burnt red. And it has a mountain design. Absolutely has a mountain design on it. And I got one arm raised. If you don't think that that is for you out there who's thinking of the possibilities, okay? The possibilities of what this can be done when it comes to a schematic or a diagram or a layout. I tell you what, let's see here. I can do another one. And just to kind of, see, I do want to show you why it's not ready yet. So I'm trying to find one that I can cause it to screw up. Bear with me. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to try this one. Okay. Can you please describe in detail what is in this image? Okay. I'm going to show you. So this is a very detailed image, and we're not ready. We are not ready yet. And Jeff hasn't told me that he's released this yet, so I'm surprised it's even working, because usually it just would not do anything. But it means he's working on it. Maybe this is why he's over the amount of time he's supposed to be working on it. But anyway, let's see what it does. Okay. All right. It says this image is describe a diagram of electrical setup involving 2 circuit breaker panels. Breakdown, top section, and it's pulled all this information from the diagram. The diagram illustrates a setup for distributing electric power safely through circuit breakers, ensuring power. And so this has every little piece in it. So to show you that the picture that I uploaded, I will do that here and show you the image that I actually did upload, and to just kind of give you an idea of how detailed and what it's looking for on a drawing. And it's going to get better and better as we go. But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm probably going to have to give Jeff a raise. I was not sure this was ready yet. So bear with me as I find it real quick, because again, it's in a different location. Let's see here. Bear with me. I'm still looking for it so that I can share it with you. Yeah, and your reason you're saying, Paul, why haven't you found it? You're so unprepared. It's because I wasn't planning to do this. So I'm pulling it from one area, and it's making me look at another area. Okay, so here's the picture. Okay. So it pulled all of this information from here and put it onto the screen by just looking at an image. Now, this image isn't loaded. This image doesn't have metadata on the back end of it. It had to pull this stuff from the screen, okay? And it's got the sizes and everything here, and it is pulling everything accurate, okay? That type of thing. Now, I can ask additional details if I want. It's, can you explain the setup in the right panel in more detail? I don't know if this will even work, man. You're getting me to go into areas that we haven't even tried to use this yet. And if this would have worked where we want it to work, this is incredible. Oh my God, it did. Holy crap, Jeff is, wow, guys, I'm telling you, normal Chat GPT will not do this. So look, it looked at an image, and now it's breaking down that image and giving you details of the installation. Jumpers, it's giving you commentary, based on, all we did was upload an image, and it pulled this information, and I asked it to give more detail. I wasn't prepared for that. Oops, I'm sorry. Y'all are seeing the screen. I wasn't prepared for it to give this kind of detail yet, because it isn't supposed to be. I don't. It's quite interesting. I didn't know that type of thing. It says, you immediately want to take some schematics from 2 different jobs and let TradeHawk analyze the difference. I don't know that it can do that. I don't know if you upload one, you upload another one and say, analyze the 2. I don't even know. I didn't even know, be honest with you, that we had already turned this on. That Jeff was already playing with it, because I was told we're still fine tuning it, and maybe we are, but I'm glad you brought it up. Another example, an image that I want to plug into this thing, just since now you've got me playing around and I'm already over the time frame. Let's see here. I'm gonna analyze this image and give me a detailed summary and example of it in a real world electrical application. I don't know this will work. I really don't. And I'll show you what I'm doing in this thing. So I've attached this. I'm just going to do this, and I'm pushing the boundaries of what it can do, because this shouldn't be included with the basic plan, or should only be an enhanced feature. So I don't know if this will turn off and it's only available to the premium members. I don't know at this point. So let me show you guys what it is. So it says the image illustrates a 240 volt split phase electrical system using the seesaw analogy. Here's a detailed summary. Line 1 and line 2 represents two hot wires in a split phase system. They are 180 degrees out of phase with each other, meaning that one is at the positive peak, the other is at the negative peak, right? All this type of information here, neutral point, sinusoidal waveform, real world application in North America, 120 volts used for standard household, yada, 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 240, all that kind of stuff. The image that we did here, guys, just so you can see, the image that I used for this, all right, I'm going to upload this image and show you what we were doing. This is the image right here. This is an image I created showing the symbolism of a system. Like one side, this is phase leg 1, this is leg 2, okay? When this is up, this one's down, okay? It's a 240 volt differential between the two, okay? And so in a 240 volt split system, so you can kind of see the waveform and everything on it. So this is what I ask it, okay? And this is what, and what you see is analysis of it, that type of thing. So I'm already pretty, be honest with you, I'm pretty blown away at what it can do, and I was not aware that Jeff had turned that on. You know, Jeff is the keeper of this when it comes to the Trade Hog, and I am, you know, it's obviously it's getting smarter, and I don't even know what the capabilities could be with this, because we use our model and we constantly adding more onto it. And as the new AIs release, we're uploading things like user manuals and all this kind of stuff. So it's again, it's not. It might be very limited. It might not allow you to upload PDFs. I think it might only be limited to images. So it might be that it can only be JPEGs and whatnot. I do not think it'll do PDFs at this time. I can try it and see, but I don't think, if you have a PDF drawing, I do not think it's going to do anything to do with the PDF, because that wasn't our intended model. It's but let's just see. Let me just see if I can find a PDF to do this here. Analyze the PDF. I'm quite shocked. So I'm going to install a PDF, and it says, "Can you give me a summary of the attached document?" Okay, so this is a first, guys. I don't think it does PDFs. It's not supposed to. I would be quite shocked. Okay, it says, "I'm sorry, but I can't review or summarize documents. However, if you provide me with the key points of the question of the document, then he can do it." Okay, so you can't, it's not going to let you do documents. That is something we're working on. Right now it's images and things like that, but it's not documents. Okay, so, and that's the Office real quick. Let me go back to the Chief Hog, because it should be the same. Let me go on and real quickly do that. I'm going to do this, and I'm doing a Word document this time. This is, "Can you review this document and give me the highlights I'm just asking. So this is a Word document. It's not, I know for a fact that we haven't released this yet because I don't think our model can do it yet. Only images and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to look and see what it says. Yeah, it is not able to do that. Now, can I take the text from the document? That will work. So one of the things that you can do is, for example, I can do, this is something you can do. So I can open up a Word document. Let me do that real quick. I'm more than happy to try that. So I'm going to open up a Word document, and it's called, it's a code log. I call this is called code logic document. And I'm going to copy this whole document. Let me see if I can select it all. Okay, so I'm in a Word document, and I'm just going to go down and select it all. Go to the end of it. Go to the end. Okay. I'm going to right click and copy it. Okay. Now I'm going to come back up here and show you there is going to be a limitation. So one of the limitations is we're not going to let you do over a certain size of because of the way AI is done. It will not take you, so you could not do a long document. It's not our limitation, and I'll show you where that's limited, but I'll go on and paste this here. So I can paste this entire thing in here, right? And I'm going to do a search. Now see all this information? This was basically a couple pages right here of information. See all this? I copied it right in. Okay. And it says, here are the highlights from the document regarding ampacity and related NEC requirements. And basically it read the entire thing and gave you a summary of each key component in that entire document. Okay. So that type of thing. So you can do that. And I recommend you do that on legal documents. I recommend you do that on things, but you are limited. So let me show you what your limit is. Right now, we are limiting you, and it's not our limit. It is a limit that has to do with the AI model, is right here. See where it says you're limited to 10,000 tokens per continuous discussion. Now, what that is that's basically a token is usually a letter or two. So it could be 3 letters or 4 letters that make up a token. So you're not going to be able to just post the Encyclopedia Britannica in there and ask for a summary. But we are able to get up to 10,000 token limits. So that was a pretty good length of question to ask it, okay? Now you see I'm in a new hour. A new hour has started, and you see it restarted me back when the new hour. So I'm back to only 2 requests because it started, again, it's every hour. So that was kind of a neat thing. So let's see here. Let me see if I can, let me copy this through here. Okay, so I just copied something just off the internet, and I'm going to paste it here. Now I'm going to ask it, I'm going to say, can you give me a summary of the following and explain it to me in as if I was a 5th grader. Okay. And then do parentheses, quotes, and then paste in there what you want. Okay. And then end quote. Okay. So now I ask it a question, and then I just copied some sentence from the internet on a legal disclaimer thing, and I hit send. Okay. So can you summarize this? And I put it in quotes what I wanted. And it says, sure. It says, and it's giving me a summary of what this legal jargon is. And it says, sure. Imagine you have a lemonade stand. A disclaimer is a sign you put on that says, I'm not responsible if you spill your lemonade or if you don't like the taste. This sign helps tell people that there is some things you can't be blamed for, even if they happen by accident. So if someone buys your lemonade and spills it, they can't easily blame you because you warned them with your sign. It's a way of protecting yourself, just like a superhero shield. But it doesn't stop people from trying to blame you. It just makes it harder for them to win if they do. So that is what you have to do right now. Take your document, cut, paste it in. If there's something that you don't understand, and let's say out of even a technical document, and there's a sentence that just does not make sense to you, cut and paste it. If you're in Link, cut and paste it out, paste it in here, and ask it to explain it in layman's terms, that type of thing. Okay, so I might take something like this. Let me just pull this out here. Let me just do this, and I'm going to copy this, and I might paste this in here. And I might say, can you please explain section, and it came from NEC, so it's section 110.27C. Okay, can you please 110.27C as written below in terms a child could understand. All right, I'm just saying, and I'm going to do prints. I'm going to do quotes. I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to end. Okay, so maybe there's something I don't understand in the code. Maybe there's something that the jargon is too technical. So I'm like, explain it so I can understand it. So let's click here. Okay, it says, sure, imagine there's a room with a wizard who keeps his magic spells. I love it. Remember, I said explain it as a child. So that's cool, right? It says, these spells are very powerful and can be dangerous if you don't know how to use them. So the wizard puts up a big bright sign on that door that says, only wizards allowed. Stay out if you're not a wizard. This way, people who aren't wizards know not to go in because it could be unsafe for them. In the same way, section 110.27C of the NEC says that if there's a room with electrical parts that could be dangerous, there should be a clear sign telling people who aren't trained, like non-electricians, to stay out. These signs must be easy to see and follow special rules to keep sure they are clear and understandable, right? And so, again, that makes it so. So you might go back to the NEC and say, well, what does 110.21b mean? Because it didn't make any reference to that. So you might say, so what does the 110, okay, .21b B mean? Okay, so I'll type that in there. All right, so the 110.21b says about the warning signs, labels should be made that they are clear and easy to understand. Okay, again, it's remembering. And this is an important thing for you guys to see. It remembers that you still want it explained like a kid. I didn't have to tell it again. It goes, imagine if you had a treasure chest with a do not touch sign. You want that sign to be really obvious, right? Well, 110.21b says that the sign must be durable. Okay, so they should last a long time and not wear out easily, like a strong sticker that doesn't peel off. Needs to be legible. The words and pictures should be easy to read and see, like using big, bold letters, and understandable. They should be simple words and pictures so everyone knows what they mean, like a picture of a lightning bolt to show danger. Okay, this way. Okay, so now I can say, okay, I am not a child anymore. Explain it to me as an electrician. Okay, say, all right, so I'm going to play with the model, and I'm going to say, okay, not a child anymore. All right, so it goes into say, okay, certainly 110.20b NEC requires field applied hazard markings, okay, yada, 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 durability, okay, gives you that advice. Again, it's got to match the environment. Legibility, the symbols, marking clear to easy to read, appropriate font size, yada, 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 understandable. The context and markers should be straightforward and unambiguous. Means say what you say, what you mean what you say, all that type of thing. And then you go, are there any size requirements for the letters or fonts? All right, because yes, the 110.21b does specifically require the visible, yada, 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 yada. Work here, it says, but it does not provide specific letter or font size requirements. Instead, it emphasizes the markings must be durable, legible, yada, yada, yada. So if I were to go to that 110.21 markings right here, and it basically is absolutely right. It basically is saying what? Okay, I don't see any size requirements here. Okay, but it does say it has to be durable to withstand the environment. Okay, word, symbol, all that type of things. All right, so you have all this stuff, everything that you see there. Again, the marking must be permanently affixed, yada yada. So it's nailing it right out the get-go, but you see how it remembers. Okay, this type of information, and it kind of can run on. And when you want to start a new chain of thought, right, then you just make sure you go up here and click new chat, and it's going to give you a fresh chain of thought. So anyway, I spent longer than I wanted on the hog here today on this live stream, but I thought it was important that I touched all these things for anybody that might be watching this video at a later date. Is we really put it through its paces. We tried to break it. We let it learn a little bit. We learned what Office Hog could do versus what the Trade Hog could do. But I think you probably can see the possibilities that you can use this for. And I can promise you it's just going to get smarter and smarter. Right now, like I said, you only allow to attach images and have it review an image. It will not do PDFs. It will not do Word documents, but it will look at an image. And I would say one of the things to test it out on is to take a picture of something and then load that in. So if I had a picture of, let's say, something that was in my panel, a panel label, that type of thing, and I snap a picture with my phone, okay? So I can actually do something very similar to that. Hold on real quick. Let's go over here real quick. Let's see if I'm going to attach a picture of a nameplate for an air conditioning unit. All right. I'm going to say, please explain this nameplate and how it is used in the National Electrical Code. I'm just trying to give it as much information as I can. So what I did was I attached a picture of a nameplate from an outdoor air conditioning unit model, like a train or something like that. All right, so I'm going to send it and see what it does. And this was a JPEG. So obviously JPEGs work, that type of thing. All right, so it said the nameplate is an air conditioner unit providing essential information for installation and compliance with the National Electrical Code. Here's how the information is used. The red area shows the minimum circuit ampacity, and it even pulled, dude, guys, I don't think you even understand how big this actually is. And I'm probably totally downplaying the applications here and how this is different things that it's doing. But it is still going to be tweaked. But just so you know what it did is I'm going to show you the file that I am adding in here. I mean, let me show you this file real quick of what I took. Okay. Let me find it. Okay, here's the file. All right, so here's what the file is right here. Okay, y'all see that? So this was a train, and again, it's showing the amps, 18, 30, that type of thing. So it's showing the here 41. It's showing all of this information, right? And without even me asking it, and I don't know that they're accurate or not. I don't go look at all of them. But what I did was it actually pulled back information, okay? The running load amperes and 14.4 amps gave me NEC references. It gave me here for the overcurrent protected device. Okay? It gave references there for, I mean, it's quite shocking that it pulled back all of this information. Now, whether or not I go see if it was a 100% 440.22a, we can go do that. It wasn't, I did not think it was ready for this yet to try to even attempt to do this. But clearly it looks like I am not aware of what Jeff's working on. Okay, so amping rating of motor compressor. And here it's telling me it's 30 amps. And here it's already done the math, but because that's what the nameplate is, but it's bringing you where to get the rating is. Okay, so the short circuit and ground fault protection shall be capable of carrying the starting current of the motor. Protective device having a rating or setting not exceeding 175% of the motor compressor's rated load current or branch circuit selection. So if I'm back over here and I turn this back on, okay, so I'm just sitting here going, it's at a 30. So I'm going to do 14.1, okay, times 1.75. And let's see, oh, and you got to add the 0.7. So it's 14.1 plus the 0.7 is 14.8. So 14.8 times, and let's see here, this times 100 times 1.75. Okay. All right. So it's giving me a total number. So it's telling me 25.9. Okay. And then, of course, let me go down here. Hold on. There. So I go down here. So it'd be 25.9. And down here, it tells you exception. Okay. If the value doesn't correspond, you can go to the next standard size. So it would bump it up to 25.9. It would bump it up to a 30, right? Bump me up to a 30. So if we go back to what it says on the hog, that's where the 30 came from. Wow. I wasn't prepared for it to be able to do all that at this point in the stage, basically from a snapshot. So what does this mean for the future for us? Because people ask, what does this mean for the future? Well, this is going to hopefully mean that some of those more complex diagrams, some more of those complex things in a panel, terminology you don't understand, you can snap a picture and then upload a picture and ask it to explain it. All those type of things that it will try to look at a picture. Remember, that picture had nothing in it about code references. It had nothing in it at all about any of that. And all it did was what? Looked for everything. And it brought it back in an easy, logical way. That's huge. And that is really pushing the boundary. That will not work on a normal chat GPT. Okay. So anyway, for those that have been watching, only a few people watching, I can't imagine of all the people out there. I mean, you watch my code stuff, but I cannot think of anything that is going to be more impactful than having this trade hog in your pocket in the field when you have that question and you need to answer it and you need to dig deeper and you want to have a conversation with the trade hog in order to get to the answer, and then go to your code book or go to your standard. That's what it's designed for. It's to help you. It's not to be the holy grail. It's to help you and get to the conclusion the best, most logical way we can. That's why we created Trade Hog. Okay. All right, folks, hopefully you got something out of that. That's a lot. And I'm still, I'm going to have to give Jeff a raise. I was not aware that that was ready yet. So use it, try it out, load some images, take some pictures of some diagrams, ask it to explain it, and then ask it to explain something even more, right? Because in this example here, I could actually take any one of these. I could take this, and I could copy that, and I could put it down here and paste it and go, can you explain this NEC reference in more detail and in a easy to understand way. Think of how huge this is for people who say that technical jargon is too complicated for them. Just get to me. Just say what you wanted to say. So let's see what happens. Oops, I probably got to scroll down. Okay, so we'll ask it. And it says, certainly. It says, deals with the overcurrent protection for air conditioning and refrigeration equipment. Here's the breakdown in what section makes a straightforward way. Look at this. The purpose, the requirements, even explains how it works, why it matters, coordination, even gives you an example, right? Dude, this is how you keep feeding it. And you're going to get smarter. Instead of just posting crap on social media that people only assume is right, this thing is the way to go. It blows my mind. It blows my mind every time I mess with it. So I'm quite amazed with it. So guys, I was very detailed with how the Trade Hog works. I know it's been over 2 hours, but there's so much good information in there, however you want to watch it. Again, if you're interested in Trade Hog, give it a try. We have a light version, we have a basic version, and then we have a premium version. The limitations for each are the number of chains of conversations that you can have and the amount that you can have per hour. That's really the only difference. Only other difference is the premium, you get access to the mobile app as well, that type of thing. That's the only big difference in the number of questions that you can ask per hour, that type of thing. Okay? All right. And for the meantime, I'm not going to turn off the attachment. I'm going to leave it on there and let you play with it. Let me know what you think. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless.